HERS modeling software includes energy gauge and REM rate. However, Ekotrope is widely considered the industry standard. Ekotrope's website shows various uses for Ekotrope, but what we're really concerned with here is HERS ratings and Ekotrope Rater. Ekotrope is an online platform, and all your project names will be listed here. You can search by a number of parameters to locate any one particular project, or they can actually be grouped by builder or by address or by rater of record. And it's pretty easy to navigate through this outside dashboard. You open up a project, you can see that it'll be divided into 4 sections. You've got the basic information here, project info tab we'll look at in a moment. The notes, this quadrant, the component library here, and the building designs here. The project info, we'll jump in there first, has different site information tab, the rating information tab, dates and what type of rating it is, the utilities, which are editable, and you can certainly add more by customizing anything you find online can be added here. And the QA info, which is not accessible by most users. Back to the dashboard, we can jump into the building designs here, which is really the meat and potatoes of the software and the energy model. You open it up and you'll find that it's a tabular design, multiple tabs running across the top here. There's always a notes section, which has compliance, areas, energy, and notes, again, tabular. These are always helpful. They will always remain here no matter which main tab you're in. Here's the general info. Get the conditioned floor area and the volume, what type of residence it is. Here are the envelopes. So these are the assemblies, slab or frame floor. As you can see, above grade walls, there are all kinds of information that will be used to describe the envelope of any dwelling you like. You can, inside here, you can see that this is a wall, it's a sealed attic. It's got a description here of what the assembly is made of, surface area, color of the surface, and whether this assembly is between interior and, in this case, sealed attic, but there are multiple choices. But what's really fun about this is the way you can actually build the assembly. And this above grade wall, which we've named 2x6, 16, which means it's 16 on center, R19 bat. So we can start from the inside of the house, see the interior, and that's the gypsum board, 1/2 inch, easily built. Fiberglass. This shows the cavity insulation, and it shows the R value and describes the wood as being 5.5 inches deep, which is a 2x6, and 1.5, again, 2x16 on center. You can really get into granular percentages in terms of types of framing and so on. Typically, it'll just stay at the framing fraction that's on default, but you can certainly add to it. Plywood, again, this is now a continuous area. This is the sheathing on the wall. Then there's a house wrap. And then we've actually added vinyl siding as well. So this entire assembly goes from inside to outside, and you can adjust what it is, and you can input your own depth, and you can either do an R value per inch or a total, depending on what it is you're using. You can use specifications from vendors that tell you that their insulation is so much R value per inch or something of that nature, or you can go with the standards found in the industry. It's entirely up to you. I find it really, really easy to use. And that's the assemblies, you know, and all of these library entries work in the same way. Rim joist is pretty straightforward, simple. It's really considered an entirely continuous insulation, so there's really not much to put there. but nonetheless, you can add and make descriptions and do things like that. But for the most part, like most of these assemblies are very customizable and easy to follow. The next tab is fenestration. This is where we deal with opaque doors up here, and then of course windows or glass doors down here. Again, there's library types. You know, we can edit, or we can just look and see what's in the library. When you guys are actually working in the field, you know, working at an office or whatever, this library can be quite large, and you'll probably want to talk to the existing organization about naming conventions so that things don't get jumbled up. But nonetheless, it's not terrible to navigate. But again, library. Here in the windows, we have a library, and we break it up by a U value and solar heat gain. These were already preloaded by Ekotrope. They are customizable if you wanted to edit this. Again, it breaks it down by U factor. Look at that U factor. That's incredible. Or you can just create your own. You know, in this case, where did we start? 30, 33. So we'll go down, we'll reapply. So I'll keep my model the same. But we can add one. Give it a nice name. Typically, the name should indicate what its U and solar heat gain are. Makes it that much easier to locate. And then, of course, you fill in those, the U factor or solar heat gain here. But anyway, again, very usable. You need to, as you probably know, you need to model the depth and top of the window to bottom of window of every window. Some have no overhang, so that's fine, but almost all do. Windows have to be situated by orientation. In this case, this window's north. You see it's listed here because it's also associated with the north wall. Ekotrope recently came out with that orientation for walls. It didn't historically used to be that way, but it's much more specific now. Some places it does not apply. I'm not sure when it will be required, but I believe in Massachusetts it is not quite needed yet. The next tab is mechanicals. This is the heating and cooling and water heating area. Distribution system could be either ducts, which would be forced air, or ductless, or radiant, or hydronic delivery, which is also radiant. That could be a baseboard heat, like radiators like these two, or it can most likely, this would be like a radiant floor type heating. Most homes you'll find are doing forced air, either ductless or ducted. It distributes the heating a little more efficiently, and then down here you have to then discuss the ducts and input the either projected leakage to outside or the actual measured. Again, total duct leakage here. There's many things to describe here. Also, duct location. You can alter anywhere in this assembly or the assemblies of the envelope or outside of the envelope and discuss the installation in that regard. So that's really handy. Then we go down to mechanical ventilation. There's selections here: exhaust only, supply, ERV, those air cyclers. Those are all the types of ventilation one would find. They've added a new project listing. So sometimes you can actually locate the information you need, and in this case for the ERV, by checking the project listing to the right. It's not perfect yet. There are times that you will just have to go to HVI to find the ventilation. But sometimes it does work. Dehumidifier, you'll need to open that up and get the specs for that, if there is one. Same for a whole house fan, ventilation. This also has climate control in terms of programmable thermostat, ceiling fans. So it really gets specific. The water wants to know type of fixtures and how long the hot water pipes are. Lighting, is it fluorescent? Is it LED? If it's not listed, then it's assumed to be incandescent, but that's pretty rare these days. Appliances, this is found in the kitchen. the dishwasher, the refrigerator, dishwasher, range. Remember the fuel type is very important. And clothes washer. So not all homes have them, so you can actually check mark that they're not included, but many homes either have them or have a hookup for them. Infiltration. This is where the actual blower door test goes, and it can be listed as air changes at 50 or CFM at 50 or various other leakage areas. The effective leakage area for 100 square feet of shell area is Energy Star. You can also look Energy Star in that regard. I believe it's 0.5 CFM or something of that nature. I can't remember. I can't believe I can't remember this. Anyway, there's lots to be dealt with here. Plenty of things. Online generation. This is where you can add solar or another type of online electric generation. Codes and programs. And these are now codes. This is EPA WaterSense, Energy Star, Department of Energy, Zero Energy Ready Homes, and Energy Star Next Gen and other. And then the usage, if you feel like you need to customize the set points, for example, or the lighting per the customer, if you actually have a customer that can tell you that they've changed their set points to one thing or another, or that they use the lights more frequently, or the hot water tank they keep a little hotter or cooler. These are all customizable. I've never done this because we are dealing mostly with brand new homes, and so we don't know how the customer is going to set these, so we leave it for default. But it is a nice set for software, if you're doing an energy audit or going back after a customer has lived there for a year and just altering things and see where they line up with your original projections. It's very, very easy to use this tabular function. On the compliance tab, we've got the quick results. This is the all-important energy HERS index right there. So in this case, it's a 55. The carbon index is 62. Annual energy bill, again, this is projected based on the way the home is modeled and the set defaults for temperature and light usage and so on. This one gets a red. It should actually be green, but the reason it is missing a rating date, and this rating is projected, and it does not give you the green light for projected. So in this case, we would fix the rating date, although it's only a warning at this point. And of course, this would then need to be switched to a confirmed rating once all testing is completed. And then this would turn into a green triangle. Actually, it would turn into a green check mark. So there's all kinds of different areas that you can look at. Energy Star version 3.2, for example, what's missing from that, you can go through and verify what you need to edit. In this case, ASHRAE is a ventilation, so this also says our required is 71 and our proposed is 71, so we are right on target with our ventilation. But we're missing the mark for the 45L tax credit because there's not a 50% reduction in heating and cooling. That is based on the current home in comparison to the reference home. The reference home is automatically generated by the software based on ResNet rules. And so these are very handy. You can actually break into the various programs and discover what's going on. You can actually change. You can either remove or even add some if you wish to have those listed. The areas are helpful. This can tell you the area of these are the envelope. So square footage, square volume, but then here's the shell area, and then these are all the assemblies that all added up. Windows, and so on. Energy. This breaks it down by the energy bill and the consumption. What are the design loads? How is this home over here designed? And what are the loads for heating and cooling? And then the general assumptions for water usage, again, based on square footage of the home, number of occupants, and how efficient a dishwasher or clothes washer is in using those. And then here are the notes, a good place to list out what your thought processes were in terms of assemblies in this case, or no HVAC layout, not listed as Energy Star projects. So this was, an explanation as to why two modeled, two returns were modeled and so on. It's a very good place to leave a note for yourself later so you can understand what you did, or for a coworker, if they pick up where you left off, this might help them understand what's going on. And perhaps most importantly for your QA, your quality assurance, quality control at your provider, this might save time for them and perhaps even justify what you did, and they'll just pass it along without bothering you any further. In either case, or any case, it should be used. That's pretty much it. You typically then would save, the project and then save and close. Um, I'm going to cancel out of here. I don't really want to save anything I've changed. Do you want to continue? Okay. Anything I've changed is now being eliminated. Keep that in mind. If you do not save, your changes will not be saved. The component library is that same library in those assemblies. If you'll see, this is probably the one we looked at before. It's very handy. There are obviously different parts of the libraries, and go back to the main dashboard, and these where all the projects are located. Anyway, I find that Ekotrope is far easier to use than RemRate. I've never used Energy Gauge, but as I said earlier, it is widely considered the industry standard now, particularly in Massachusetts. Every rater I speak to, they are using Ekotrope. Some are using RemRate and Ekotrope, but we feel here at AnyHers that Ekotrope is the one to teach, and that's the only software platform we do currently teach. But I think you'll find that it's fun. It's easy to use. It's fun to use, and anything that you can think of is included. Of course, during instruction, we'll go through many things in much greater detail, and we are always open for questions. And thanks very much.